I picked up a book from my local library. Support your local libraries. And we're going to read a chapter because I've been having a wonderful time reading it so far. This is what it's called. Be Love Now. The Path of the Heart by Ram Dass. All of his books are great. We're going to read from chapter 4. It's called Darshan. Okay. All beings are on an evolutionary journey, and not just our Darwinian one. There is an evolution of consciousness reaching toward perfection, oneness, and divinity. Hindus and Buddhists believe each individual goes through countless incarnations on this road to fulfillment. A lot of people ask me, how do you know about incarnations? I haven't experienced my past incarnations, but from being with my guru, Maharaji, who's farther up the mountains, I have an understanding of how it all works. He would speak of reincarnation as a reality, and I and other people around him had a very deep relationship with him and each other that clearly had not come from our family backgrounds or upbringing in this life. Our human forms are composed of and surrounded by an infinite, it's that word again, myriad of forms, all in constant motion from the subatomic to the cosmic in scale. This is the Laila, the enchanted dance of existence, the divine interplay of consciousness and energy. Amid this divine play, we seek fulfillment, perfection, flow, freedom, enlightenment, oneness. The dominant quality of form is change because all forms are in time. That's another way of saying we don't know what will happen from one instant to the next. Or, as one of my guru brothers is fond of saying, don't be surprised to be surprised. For instance, I didn't anticipate I'd be living in a wheelchair today. The way to live with change is to be completely present in the moment. We cannot cling to forms or our experiences of them because they decay and dissolve back again into their formless state. Attempting to hold on to anything in time is ultimately futile and a cause of much suffering. What is there really to hold on to? In reality, there is nothing permanent, nothing solid, nothing constant except relativity and change themselves. When we realize how finite are the limbs of gratification or possible fulfillment within the play of forms, then despair arises. That despair is born of the world-weary understanding that nothing in form can provide ultimate meaning. It also forces into man's awakening and seeks transcendence of suffering. A futile clinging to impermanence creates our suffering. Letting go and making friends with change is joy, liberation. In youth, our lifetime seems to stretch infinitely before us. As we age, the accumulation of our experiences seems to have occurred in the blink of an eye. Even now that I'm 79 years old, I realize there's plenty of change to come before dying. Can I say that word? Change in the body, change in friends and family, change in memory. These experiences lead to deepening wisdom and freedom, and to diving deep within to the realm beyond form. Long before recorded history, human beings were awakening out of the illusion of form or separateness that the Indians called Maya. A tiny fraction of humanity, but still many beings, finish their work and complete the process of realization, the integration of form and the formless. These awakened beings pass beyond the illusion of birth and death. and attachments to this physical plane and every other plane. Their hearts fill with the bliss of that realization and with the infinite love that permeates the universe, the way the dark matter permeates the space between stars. That love is the subtle texture of our material world, the unseen energy, the fullness of emptiness, sunyata. And then there's a little poem, so I'm going to read it. Open your eyes of love and see him who pervades this world. Consider it well and know that this is your own country. When you meet the true Guru, he will awaken your heart. He will tell you the secret of love and detachment, and then you will know indeed that he transcends this universe. There, the eternal fountain is playing its endless life streams of birth and death. They call him emptiness, who is the truth of truths, in whom all truths are stored. There within him creation goes forward, which is beyond all philosophy, for philosophy cannot attain to him. There is an endless world, O my brother, and there is the nameless being, of whom naught can be said. Only he knows it who has reached that region. It is other than all that is heard and said. No form, no body, no length, no breath is seen there. How can I tell you that which it is? He comes to the path of the infinite, on whom the grace of the Lord descends. He is freed from births and deaths, who attains him. Kabir says, it cannot be told by the words of the mouth. It cannot be written on paper. It is like a dumb person who tastes a sweet thing. How shall it be explained? And it was written by Kabir. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit more. When they finally emerge from the illusion of separateness, these free beings can either merge back into that formless state or remain in form on one plane or another, or they can continue their evolution to the point where it makes no difference. They may or may not take birth again on the physical plane. There are many chapters within the chapters, so I'm going to continue. This is called sainthood. In the East, liberated beings are often referred to as saints. The term has different connotations in different cultures. In the Catholic Church, a saint is someone who has been canonized by the Church and is confirmed to have performed miracles. In the West, we also use the term metaphorically when we say she's a real saint or that was a saintly thing to do. We don't usually mean that they were canonized by the Church, but that they are unusually good or loving or particularly self-sacrificing people. In India, someone might be called a saint who is a sattvic individual, someone who is pure and oriented toward the light, a good person connected to the spirit. A saint can also be a liberated being who continues to take birth to relieve the suffering of other beings, what Buddhists call a bodhisattva. India also has an ancient tradition of yogis and rishis, or forest sages, who were the living sources of spiritual life and knowledge. These great souls, or Mahatmas, laid the foundations of India's spiritual culture thousands of years ago, as recorded in the Vedas. Some even entered the social and political arena, like the kings Dhruva and Shivaji, and more recently, Mahatma Gandhi. There are also holy men and women who act as gurus, spiritual guides, and preceptors, a tradition much attenuated in modern urban society, but one that is still intertwined in Indian culture and persists to this day. Holy men are often called Baba, a Hindi term meaning father or grandfather, but used as an honorific. For example, Neem Karoli Baba. Beyond all classification is a rarefied class of great saints or yogis who have reached the pinnacle of consciousness, fully realized beings that perfected ones or siddhas. People revere and seek counsel from these great saints and go on pilgrimage. Did I say that right? And seek them out. We in the West may lack this ingrained tradition of seeking out holy men and women, though doubtless that they are present here too. I have met some, a car mechanic in Boston, a Tao artist, Native American elders, Zen Buddhists, Sufis, artists, chemists, musicians, healers, and poets. Some were wonderful teachers. Most still had karma, the results of past actions, the laws of cause and effect they were working out. Each had some aspect of the one shining through, and all were beautiful human beings. This is not to say we Westerners are not truth seekers, yet we are not a traditional culture like that of the Native Americans, whose deep reverence for their spiritual elders is similar to the way holy people are woven into the fabric of spiritual life in India. This contrast was readily apparent to me when I traveled back and forth from Nainital in the Himalayan foothills to New York City. The people of Nainital, at least some of them, identify with their souls. In that part of India, the world is still viewed from the vantage point of the soul. The Himalayan region is different from the plains and has been frequented by yogis and saints for millennia. The people seem simpler, hospitable, and loving, and their traditional culture keeps the stories of realized beings alive. They know they are souls. Although the cities in India are largely westernized, in the villages, traditional people still realize they're on a spiritual journey. It's a long-term view because they believe in reincarnation. It may take many births for a soul to become one with God, but they know that's where they're going. The villages of India have supported the traditions of sadhus, wandering monks and holy men, and of siddhas, realized beings, for millennia. Jet travel makes the east-west differences more glaring. The minute the plane doors open in New York, it's ego, ego, ego. Everyone identifying with their roles. In the West, who you are is defined by what you do. The view seen by the ego is bounded by this single incarnation, which ends in death. The fear of death is a very powerful motivator. The soul doesn't have that fear. If you make that shift of consciousness from the ego level to the soul level, the fear goes away. I came back home from India and saw my dad and my future stepmother Phyllis at their house, and in my new perception, they were indeed souls. They were both aging, and my dad had oriented himself toward death. Although he was on the board of trustees of the synagogue, his religious practice consisted solely of outer form, which left him with a lot of inner fear. The calm space I brought him, being with Maharaji, must have been reassuring. I was in my soul and saw them as souls, which allowed them to begin to see their lives more spaciously. Over the next years, there was a deep change in our relationship. We were together as souls. Years before, we were sitting in deck chairs at my father's 3-hole golf course on the family farm in Franklin, New Hampshire. It was a beautiful sunset, and I said, "Dad, isn't it beautiful?" "Yes, look how beautifully it's cut," he replied. He had just mowed the grass and was proud of how the greens looked. When he was about 95 and we were living down in Cohasset along the Massachusetts South Shore, he was in bed and I was holding his hand. We were looking out the window and he said, "Look, Rich, what a beautiful sunset." That was soul wonder. He had come full circle. In Nai Natal, people do the dharma of their social role, but at the same time they know their soul is separate from their role. A sweeper isn't necessarily just a sweeper. The king isn't necessarily just a king. They are doing their dharma for that incarnation, while the inner being is also there looking out. From that soul point of view, your karma is your dharma. What you do is part of your inner journey, and your role takes you into your soul. Then you get a chance to stand back and see what in your incarnation is helpful to you as a soul and to others on your trip to God. I'm going to stop there because this is quite long. This is all I've read. And I still have all of that to go. And something happened. And I need to be alone.